What's up, y'all? What's going on? It is Cedric here from Agent Grateful. As you notice, it's just me. My wife is in Mexico, as you can see. I am in the United States. So, yeah, that's what happens sometimes. I actually just got finished watching a YouTube video from Dee Abroad with a panel of other brothers called Black Married Expat. Go check out the channel if you haven't had a chance to do so. Really good information. Beautiful couple. But it kind of hit home when talking about documenting the process moving abroad, right? We see video after video after video with people that have already moved or getting ready to move and you know, whatever. There's very few videos where people show that process step by step, the good, bad, and the ugly. They may show step by step the good, but there's very few that show all the processes. And not to say there's not, there's just very few people that are willing to open up. But it made me really do some thinking about sharing, you know, things that are going on in the moment, right? So as I mentioned, my wife is in Bobby. She's in Mexico at our place there. Here, we are still making the transition. It's you know, you see a lot of videos, just sell your stuff, move abroad, just put your house up for rent, move. Yeah, it's not that simple a lot of times. It takes time, and it takes money, and it takes patience. And it takes sacrifice. One of the things that for us in our journey, what we've been sacrificing is all of the stuff, right? So I know one video we had where we sold our Tesla and, you know, just to get rid of that, get that off our plate, right? It was paid off. So, you know, we got to basically use that money to fund some of the things that we're doing, moving abroad. But my wife has a Model Y, and we were talking about selling that one too. But our plan was we're in the middle of our residency, right? So go to Mexico, finish up the temporary residency, come back here mid-April, get the house prepped to get ready to rent. We have 2 adult children that are in the house, adult kids that are in the house, and we told them they have until May because we're going to put the house up for rent. That's the goal, at least. And so the plan was to do that, come back mid-April, start prepping the house, yada, yada, yada. And then towards the end, put the car up for sale, kind of see what we can get for that, right? Well, it just so happened, somebody that knew I was gonna sell the car asked me about was I still selling it? This was Monday, and I told them, yeah, and we kind of went back and forth with that a little bit. And then next thing you know, Tuesday, they want to buy it, they got the money, they're gonna FedEx me the check, and want me to ship the car out to where they are. They're gonna send me the money for the shipping and everything. This is on a Tuesday. I'm in Mexico, right? They don't know I'm in Mexico. So I'm like, all right, well, here's the thing. I can leave and go to the house, come back here. And that's one of the things we talked about in our video. And I'm sorry for rambling. This is just gonna be one of those videos where I'm kind of all over the place and you just have to deal with it. So I lost my train of thought. So anyways, we're in the middle of this process. So I was like, I'm gonna fly back to Arizona. And that's one of the things that's what I was saying. Well, that's one of the things we liked about Puerto Vallarta is its closeness and easiness to get back here, and cost. It's pretty cheap, relative. It cost me about $200 for a last-minute plane ticket to fly, direct flight. So we're in the middle of our visa process. Our temporary residency is approved. However, the printer to print the ID cards is broken. It's been broken for over 2 weeks. So Tuesday, I go down to the immigration office. No, Wednesday, I go down to the immigration office. And I'm like, our visa's approved, our temporary residency approved. I need to go to the U.S. Is there anything you can do? I've already been here more than 30 days because they stamp you 30 days when you go through the process. Is there anything you can do? And they were like, looked at my stuff, looked at my passport. They saw it was, past the 30 days. They were like, our machines to print the ID cards are broken. I know that, but I need to go back to the United States on Thursday. I have an emergency. Well, you can't leave the country or you got to start the process over again. I'm like, okay. I got somebody FedExing me over $40,000. And I need to go handle this business because you know how hard it is to sell a car, especially an expensive car. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of stuff, and for somebody to have it and ready to go, I've told my wife, I'm like, I'll just go. I'll redo the paperwork process anyway when we come back later, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, we're going to figure out, navigate through this. What do we need to do? So I told them, my reasons. I had a doctor's appointment, which I did have a doctor's appointment. So long story short, that's a whole nother video. Back and forth with them. We do have an attorney that's facilitating it. And I'm gonna tell you this. If you ever watched H&D's video on explaining the steps and things that you do on the U.S. side to get your temporary residency, it's so spot on point that we almost don't even want to make a video on it because it'll be just repeating what they said. Like, here, just click this link. But they did a good job explaining that. But on the other side, I would say it pays to have a facilitator or attorney or somebody, because one mistake and it all blows up, and you gotta have somebody that is there that can handle that process. We did everything perfectly. We did all the paperwork perfectly. Even our attorney filled out the paperwork perfectly, submitted everything, and then somebody in the agency made a mistake on my wife's paperwork. They put a wrong number on hers or something, and it just screwed up the whole thing. So that took like 4 days to clear up, and our attorney was going back and forth, back and forth. So I couldn't even imagine what that would have been like had we been trying to do that on our own. I see a lot of people trying to say, oh, it's easy to fill out, just do it. No, I'm telling you, it's worth the money. It's not that expensive at all. I'm not going to tell you what our person charged because she may charge somebody different, so I don't want to even get into that. But it's really cheap compared to what they do. I mean, I want to say it was $100, $100-something bucks a person or something like that. I can't remember. Anyways, long story short, they gave me and my daughter a temporary card to leave. So we have 60 days. We have to be back in 60 days. So we have to basically go stamp, go to the immigration office inside the airport, get an exit stamp in order for them to even give us the plane tickets. And then coming back in, we have to get that entry stamp, or it'll just be void. They told us if they stamp your passport, it's going to be void. So you make sure you follow this process. But, getting back to my main point is, it's not as easy as, it may seem, but it's doable. If you want to do it, it's doable. Sacrifices. What are you willing to sacrifice? We're sacrificing 2 vehicles. We're sacrificing all this stuff. It doesn't really mean, I don't miss it at all. I'd rather have the life that we have when we are in Mexico. It's just stress-free. It's stress-free for the most part compared to the U.S., what we deal with here. But the quality of life that you have, it's I can't even explain it. I can't explain, and I try to, tell my friends all the time, I can't explain what it feels like as a black man just being able to walk around just and not have to think about any of the stuff that we have to think about in the US. It's just crazy. I can't explain it. And I'm not going to try to explain it. And I tell my friends all the time, you just have to experience it. And maybe you might not experience it if you go. But everybody that I've talked to, every black man that I've talked to, and couples and everything, they all say the same thing. So, you know, it is what it is. So, but I just want to send some encouragement that you can do it. You have to have some patience. You gotta have some money. I'm just gonna say it, you know. You gotta have some money. You have to get involved in these Facebook, Facebook groups too, but a lot of YouTube channels. A lot of people tell you their do's and don'ts and mistakes. We rented that place. I think most of you follow our channel. You've seen the place that we rented, and we realized that's not gonna work. It's a beautiful place, but it's just not going to work for the summer. So now we got another place that we're getting ready to move into, and guess what? We still got to rent this place. And you know, some of the locals there are like, "Oh, just don't pay it. That's not who I am. I'm never going to do that because I'm getting ready to rent my house. What I look like, you know, if somebody decides, oh, I don't want to pay it anymore. So no, I'm not going to ever do that. So no, now we got to pay for two places. And that's just part of doing, you know, it's part of the journey. It's part of the journey. And I thank God for allowing me to be in a position to pay for that, you know. So to be in a fortunate position to be able to afford to do that. You know, I definitely understand if you can't do it, you can't do it. But I'm in a position to do it. We're in a position to do it. And that's a lot of the reasons why we're on this journey, to be in these type of positions, to be able to just do things like that, right? So, our daughter's with us. She is going to school online. She goes to ASU online. She's 16. You know, she's over there. She had a job at the Jamaican restaurant. She loved it. She'd take Ubers back and forth, no problem with all that. She said she liked it because it helped her with her Spanish, things like that. So, I have another son that's here in Arizona. He plays volleyball at a high level. Definitely be college. He's smart, you know, programming and all that stuff. So even with that, right, I will be coming back and forth, you know, during his schedule, during his volleyball seasons and things like that. You know, with today's technology, we got FaceTime and all that stuff. So, you know, don't let these things be barriers, right? Figure out a plan to work through those, right? Because a lot of people say, I'm going to wait until they graduate, they get out of school, they do this. And that's fine. But you don't have to necessarily do that, right? You don't necessarily have to do that with the way we're connected today in today's world. Now, it may be a little bit more expensive to do, you know, some of these things, going back and forth to doing some of that. But, hey, that's why we're dumping this debt. So we can do those things, right? It's all part of the plan. So, yeah, I'm just, you know, you can do it. It just takes some planning. It takes some bumping your heads. It takes some, hey, this works. This might work just because it works for some other couple or person. And you try it and it don't work for you, doesn't mean that, you know, it doesn't work. It's just not the direction, you know, the path that you have. So everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different, but it's nice to see as a collective everybody's journey. So yeah, I just wanted to share that and just let you know in this moment, it's not easy. It's not easy. Now I got to spend more money to go back now because I got to be back in 60 days. I wasn't planning on doing so. That's a whole nother check. So, you know, these are just things that, you know, you got to kind of account for. And me sharing this, hopefully it helps somebody account for something that, you know, they didn't think about. So, because I didn't think anything about this, right? I'm like, well, I can go to Mexico, get the card. We had some friends that came with a couple of days after we got there, and they got their cards. They had their appointment after ours, and then got their cards the next day. and we're still waiting. So it's a patience thing. But anyways, I just want to send out some encouragement and kind of capture these raw moments, because I don't think they're captured enough. And even after the fact, they're not the same, right? I could tell this story a month from now after everything's all good, and then package it up, and it doesn't sound, to me, it doesn't give the same feeling. This is raw in the moment, and dealing with this house and the overwhelming feeling of how am I gonna get all this stuff. I just want to take a big dumpster truck thing and put it out in the front yard and just take everything in the house and just put it in there and be done with it. I really want to do that because it trying to pick and choose and go through stuff and sell stuff, and it's not, it's just stuff, y'all. It's just stuff. Definitely not getting no storage. That's a waste of money. This is my opinion. If you think you're gonna get a storage unit and put your stuff in just in case something happens, you got to come back. Who cares? Just buy more stuff. And by the time you get back, stuff probably be outdated anyway. So it just don't make sense to me. But anyways, I just want to again give y'all this moment. We will be making a video on the process for the visa, temporary residency, because it was crazy and it's still going on. So we will be making a video to go more in detail about that. But yeah, don't let it stop you. Make a plan, tackle the plan, encourage each other. There are going to be some time. I would be surprised if it's just all smooth sailing, but there may be some times where it's going to be tough and you have to compromise and remember why you're doing what you're doing. So with that, that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Go check out these other channels I mentioned. Yeah, and I'll put the links below. All right, talk to y'all later. Peace.